The sun is beginning to set over the Ohio Valley. Many teams are seeing the end and are getting ready to hibernate for the winter. There's still light showing. There's still time to make the final push. The season's not over yet. The night is yet to come. 2 more chances to play the next day. Another Saturday of OVC Big South football starts right now on game day.
1, 2, 3, come on!
Welcome into OVC Big South Game Day, Week 12 here. Jacob Stonick, James Zugmeyer, Carmen Lumpkins. We are getting close to the end here, folks, and man, it's just getting more and more exciting as the season chugs along.
Yeah, you know, last week we had a nice upset win. We're going to get to that later. Western Illinois looks really good right now, and then, you know, the conference is still up for grabs. Might come down to the final week here.
Yeah, it's just down to the wire. We've seen some close games, and we're going to continue to see some close games.
We'll take a look at last week, and we'll start with a little bit of a shocker, but in the terms of just being such a close game, which I think at the same time was also predicted. It was going to be all over the place for this one. Gardner-Webb looking to keep their postseason hopes alive here. They're hanging on, taking on SEMO in Boiling Springs. What a game it was. We'll start off here. Cole Pennington had a 34-yard rush to put the Bulldogs up 7-0 and able to scramble out of the pocket. Finds a hole, you think it's over. No, there's so much green grass to go. Almost uncontested, 1 more block, able to push it in, gives the running Bulldogs the lead to start off. But Andrew Kivey from 10 yards out, wide open. Not a soul around, ties it up 7-7. Later on, Elvin Fofana trying to get one from 31 yards. Nice little toss-up, and again, another wide open receiver. Easy play right there for Cole Pennington. See again, just a little dump off after it seemed like the play might have been a little broken. All of a sudden, there's just open space right there. Later on, Carson Griesach added on a field goal, and he, like always, punching it through 2 yards out from the Wildcat. That makes it 24-10. Get another look at this. Just the effort, one from Griesach and the rest of the offensive line pushing him through. That's old school football right there, 24-10. But Calvin Gilbert, watch this catch. Over his head. Beautiful snag by Calvin Gilbert, 22 yards. Another look at that right over the top. You just got mossed, my boy. 24-17. Charles Vioral will add on the field goal to make it 27-17. SEMO not done just yet. Leatherwood over the middle, a tough ball, able to just slot it in perfectly. Brings them within a score. This would make it 27-24. And this is what would be the killer. Onside kick. Doesn't quite get the 10 yards before collisions. Flags go. They would look at it. Eventually it would be deemed a legal touching penalty. Gardner-Webb also getting on top of it, recovering the onside kick, and they end up getting a big win to stay alive. And what a game for the running Bulldogs over the Red Hawks. And the Red Hawks, they have been all over the place past couple weeks, unable to get it done.
Yeah, it was a really spirited effort at the end, but, you know, Gardner-Webb, they needed this game, needed to stay alive. And what they did really well in this football game is what they've done well all season long. They took away the other team's strength. And for SEMO, it's been those short passes where, okay, they don't have much of a run game. They know that. Their blocking game hasn't been good. So getting rid of the ball quick and getting into those manageable situations is how they love to play football. But it's hard to do that when you're getting sacked 11 times in a football game, which is the most sacks of any team this season. They've had some O-line injuries. I know their coaches talked about it. The running backs haven't blocked the way they've wanted. And this was their second lowest completion percentage of the season. The last time they went lower, North Dakota State. They're kind of good at football if you haven't noticed. So, you know, SEMO's been a good passing team all year long, put up good stats, but just not able to do it early in the game and had to play catch up late.
For SEMO, it was really just those 4 yards. I mean, that's tough whenever you don't have a run game and you have to rely on the pass. They could get it down the field that way, but then you're kind of showing your cards on offense and kind of get stuck, which is what they did, and you're down 10-24, and then you have to come back just in the 4th quarter, but you run out of time to get the win.
Yeah, you mentioned the sacks, and just to emphasize this 11 sacks, 78 total yards lost for Leatherwood through those sacks, and he didn't gain a single yard rushing either. So they ended up only having 4 net yards of rushing. It doesn't help either when Cole Rubel and Epton Jr. only had 61 and then 21 net yards themselves. So again, the rushing game just not in there. Still, Leatherwood throws for 304 yards. Yet on the other side, 108 for Gardner-Webb plus 279 through the air. So yeah, the running game is certainly not getting it done right now, and it doesn't help when you give up 11 sacks, to say the least.
You take the sacks and all the yardage out of it, I think it was still 2-point-something yards per carry. Like, yeah, the sacks look bad, but even the straight-up runs where it's just a normal run play, they're still not able to get a good push up front.
Well, another kind of a shocker, another close game. This time the comeback being made. Western Illinois taking on Lindenwood in Macomb in an absolute barn burner. Historically, they always play really good games, and that's exactly what we expected here today. Lindenwood already up 7-0 at this point. Steve Hall would rush it in, make it 14-0, a 6-yard run for him. He's slowly getting back into it with the Lindenwood rush game, and that's something they've been trying to develop all season. And again, here we go, Rico Bond. Watch this snag. Going up, going through double coverage. They just lose him somehow wide open in the end of it all, able to make the snag. That'd make it 21-7. Western Illinois wouldn't be done. Far from it. Markel Holman, 27-yard rush, able to push through the defense. That makes it 21-6. Had a failed 2-point attempt after that touchdown. But later on, Alex Williams, 8-yard pass rolling out. That right there, that's the 2-point conversion failure. But now here is the touchdown here. Alex Williams, an absolute dot over the middle, a little floater, and wide open the tight end, 8 yards away. Markel Holman would add the 2-point conversion, and you'll see it right here. It was a tough play, but they were able to sneak it through, a nice little out route from the inside, and able to push through to make it a 3-point lead. Already had the lead, but always got to add the 2 points on just for good measure. And then what would seal the deal, it would be Nick Buccaro getting up, a little overthrown by Glantz, and a game-sealing interception. West Illinois would kneel it, and you'll see the celebration here. It certainly meant a lot to them, getting a big conference win, just their second of the season, and what a game it was. It was such a shocker, I think, across the board from everyone. A huge comeback win, down by 2 scores through multiple points throughout the game, and are able to get it done.
Well, I mean, I think we need to apologize to Lindenwood because we picked them. Everyone across the desk picked them. We've been cursing teams all season long, but you have a 21-7 lead in the third quarter. And you score your last touchdown, and from there, this is how they went. Long snapper, he snaps it directly into the holder's helmet on 4th down. Can't have it. Here's the replay here. Just right off his helmet, wasn't ready for it. Special teams have kind of cost Lindenwood this year with some blocked punts. You get a 3rd and 7 here. You're taking a deep shot. Don't love that when you're right outside field goal range, but okay. Going to go for it on 4th down as well. And it's going to be basically the same play call. They could have got themselves closer. They could have gone with an easier play, a higher percentage play. They don't go for it. They turn the ball over on downs. Western's getting back into the football game. Nate Glantz doing Nate Glantz things. He's going to roll out, look towards the end zone, except it's double coverage. Like, this guy wasn't open whatsoever. So a mistake there, turning over the football with 4 minutes left, and then you have this. You get a stop. You finally slow down Western, and you muff it. Like, special teams. Lindenwood all year long. And of course, to finish the game, 3rd and 5, looking for his guy, overthrows him. It's just a meltdown for Lindenwood. I mean, everything that could go wrong went wrong for them late in the game, but I didn't like the play calling, and the decisions that were made by the quarterback just overthrew some. Like, he's staring down his first read a lot, but if you stare down your first guy, put it on him. Give him a chance on 3rd and 4th down, and he just didn't do it in this one. And Western Illinois, great effort late to come back into this football game.
Yeah, like you mentioned, just Lindenwood making those mistakes, and Western Illinois, they showed patience. They waited until Lindenwood broke down in the second half to really take advantage of that and really just get going on offense. And then also defensively, coming up big at that last play of the game to seal it for them. Because Lindenwood, they could have scored on that one, but a big defensive effort by that team to stay in the game ultimately.
Yeah, it was a really strong comeback effort, and we will talk about some more Leathernecks here in just a moment. But first, we're going to take a look at the scores from last Saturday. As we mentioned, the other two, 27-24, Gardner-Webb over SEMO, 24-21, West Illinois over Lindenwood. Tennessee Tech continuing on, a little bit, again, of a smaller score than a lot of people predicted. Just 21-9 for Tennessee Tech over East Illinois, stay undefeated. And UT Martin staying in the race, 26-7. They take down Tennessee State. And what a game that was as well. Just across the board, a lot of great games. Tennessee Tech, I mean, they just stay Tennessee Tech. But East Illinois put up a good fight against them. As talking about now Western Illinois, as we mentioned earlier, Markel Holman getting named Offensive Player of the Week. And he had a great game against Lindenwood, 172 yards, 1 touchdown, 6.9 yards per carry. And he performed very well for the Leathernecks.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is a guy that he's shifty. He's really hard to tackle. He's sneaky fast. You don't get to see him getting into that second level much this year because the blocking just hasn't quite been there. But you saw in this game, when he broke away, he has nice speed. And when they were trying to get back into the football game in the fourth quarter, on their first touchdown drive, he got the ball on 6 of the 9 plays. They said, hey, you're doing great today. We're just going to feed you. Just keep going. Keep getting yards for us. Drive us down the field. So, he gave him a big spark. He's been great this year, top 3 in a lot of categories against OVC opponents. So against his peers, he's been really solid this year.
And simply put, he was the run game, basically, of this team. All but a few yards was all done by him. And just his best quality is that he doesn't mind contact. He can get hit a few times and he stays on his feet. It takes a few guys to bring him down. Like, they have to force him down to the ground because he's able to refuse so many tackles. And that's really just a great thing that you could have in a running back.
Yeah, Markel on 25 attempts, 172 yards gained, nothing lost at all. Getting tackled for loss at all throughout that game. Speaking for tackles for loss, we're going to talk about the defensive side. Theron Gaines, Tennessee Tech Tab Defensive Player of the Week, and he had a very impressive game against East Illinois. 6 solo tackles, 11 total, 2 sacks, and a fumble recovery as well in the Golden Eagles win to keep them undefeated.
Yeah, this is a fun football player to watch. He's 6'1", 237. He's a linebacker this year, and his own coach says he runs like a safety. Last year, he was a defensive end for this football team. He won a bunch of awards. He won his Players of the Week. He won FCS Defensive Player of the Week. And clearly that wasn't good enough for this coaching staff. They said, you're in the wrong spot, buddy. We're going to make you a linebacker. And you look at him this year, he's recorded a sack or a tackle for loss in every game he's played. He ranks 12th, actually, right now, nationally in tackles for loss. He's averaging 1.35 a game. He is doing everything he did last year as far as tackles for loss and sacks, but at a different position, and you're seeing more tackles that he's actually able to contribute more for this team. So big credit to him and big credit for this coaching staff to say, hey, we know you're a star at one position, but we think you'd be better at linebacker. He's been outstanding so far this season.
And just to start the game, he had the sack at the very beginning, the first drive of the game. So just right out the gate, just coming out impressive. But also he's just a versatile player. Like, he can play up and pressure the quarterback, but then he can also defend the backfield as well and make some good tackles. If you're trying to find him at the end of the play, he's usually where the ball is at, either helping his teammates finish a tackle or he's doing it by himself.
Yeah, really impressive, able to help Tennessee Tech stay undefeated so far, and they get a tough game. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about Mark Schnauda tying the OVC Big South record punt, 82 yards against UT Martin. Unfortunately, Tennessee State did lose this game, but Tennessee State record 82 yards, also averaging just under 50 yards a punt. And just watch this beauty of a punt way overhead. It lands, and where that ball is at in the air was about 90% of that punt, which is so hard to do as a punter. And down there at about the 9-yard line. I mean, just incredible stuff from Schnauda.
69 air yards on that one. I had to go back and look at it, but yeah, 69 yards through the air.
Incredible.
That's insane. He definitely ate his Wheaties before he showed up to the field that day.
Maybe some more supplements as well.
I'm not going to go there on that, but you take away the one shank he had in this football game. Yeah, he had one punt that got away from him. He was over 54 yards per punt. I mean, he's flipping the field. And yeah, this team, they struggle. They've had a tough year, but one of their bright spots has been Mark Schnauda. And I mean, anytime you're punting it over 80 yards, you're going to get some type of honor. Very deserved this week.
In 4 different times, he had a 50-plus punt. That's just the execution of him to be able to pull through for his team. They didn't win it, but at least it helped them stay in the game because now you're pushing your opponent back to try to keep them down as far as they can, but just great execution from him as a punter.
I do want to add one more thing on this. You would think 82 yards, clearly there was some wind or something. I did some weather stat searching this week. The wind was not a factor. He was just bombing balls the
Just
whole
incredible.
game. I mean, you saw the carry on the first one.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for it. You're like, yeah, that's going to come down.
Still up there.
No. And you saw the returner was very confused.
Still
like,
going.
why is that ball still coming?
It's still going. It's still going.
But yeah, I love that we get to shout out some special teamers because they just don't get
Oh,
the credit they
100%.
deserve. They're always looked at as the small guy on the team. Doesn't
And especially
do a whole lot.
punters as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they barely get anything on the score sheet. They don't score any points unless they're also a kicker. And obviously you'd love to show them some love, and I think this is a perfect reason to do it, 100%. But we now look at Tennessee Tech, who will take on Kentucky for a Week 12 matchup. A lot of not so happy about it. A lot of people saying it may be a good test, show their true numbers. They'll take on Kentucky in Lexington. It's going to be one heck of a battle.
Well, if you listen to the interview this week where the OVC interviewed Coach Wilder for Tennessee Tech, he was not happy about this matchup. He's not happy about it the whole season. He didn't make this schedule. But he does recognize that this is a football game that's going to be won in the trenches, and that is the biggest aspect. And of course, I'm nerding out again, had to do some math on this. You look at the defensive line, the linebackers, and the O-line coming into this one. For both teams, you got Tennessee Tech coming in at 6 foot tall, 272. Kentucky, they got 4 inches on them and about 15 pounds of muscle. This is going to be a tough one for them in the trenches, especially with Kentucky coming off a big win last week. And yeah, you look at them compared to the rest of the FBS, maybe they're not that impressive in a lot of stats, but momentum is a hell of a drug, and I think that they're going to have a lot of it coming into this one.
And Kentucky needs this game for their own postseason, and they have important games coming up, so they're not going to just have a team walk in and just beat them. That's not even in their conference. So Kentucky is definitely just going to be bringing it all they got, and like you said, they're coming with momentum too. So it's definitely going to test the Tennessee Tech team to just show some colors and just how really good they are.
I think it's going to be interesting though because, imagine this game, they're down at halftime and it's, maybe a 2-score game. Do you start pulling starters out? I mean, you're trying to win an FCS Natty this year. Do you try to go for the upset or how do you feel about it?
I mean, it's so strange. It's really hard to say because it's just such a difficult spot for Tennessee Tech right now, considering that this is so late in the year. And I would say you want to be more concerned about playoffs for sure, because Kentucky's trying to be bowl eligible right now. They are 4-5. They got 3 games remaining. They got Tennessee Tech, obviously, and then they got Vanderbilt and Louisville. So that's 2 tough games after what would a lot of people say is a gimme for them. But still, this is a game they still need to win. And Tennessee Tech, obviously, I don't think they need to win this by all means. But man, would it look real nice. It would look fantastic. And that would boost them even higher in a seeding wise, that they would probably jump into right behind the Montanas into that 5 spot, maybe even the 4 spot with how it's shaping up right now in the polls. I mean, it depends on, there's so many different thoughts that go around. It's going to be a really tough game, and it's going to be even tougher, the decision making, because what do you look out for? Do you look out for your best interest when it comes to the postseason, or do you look over your players for the postseason? So it's really tough, but obviously right now Tennessee Tech, I think the biggest concern for them is just locking up a bye. That would be huge for them in the FCS playoffs. But speaking of the FCS playoffs, Gardner-Webb, they got a shot in this FCS playoff? That's going to be the question right now. Gardner-Webb is the only team other than Tennessee Tech receiving votes in the poll. Problem is they got 2 losses. So it is a real toss-up, and the thing is they're probably going to have to win out the remainder of the season if they even want a chance at the playoffs right now.
Yeah, 'cause, those two losses really. It's Tennessee Tech, which you can understand. It was a close football game, came down to what, one score? It was a one-score game, yeah. So you have that, and then you're lost to UT Martin, and that hurts a lot. But you're getting votes in one of the polls. While you don't really stand out in a lot of categories, and one thing that they're really good at that they can't get credit for because it doesn't show up is their coaching. I feel like this team could win some games in the playoffs, but you have to stand out. You have to build your resume. And they have a ranked win. They almost beat Tennessee Tech on the road, which counts for something. And they have 2 losses to potential FBS conference champions this year with Ohio and then, what was the other one? Georgia Tech.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they could win their conferences in FBS. They were hard-fought football games, and Gardner-Webb showed that they can kind of compete with the big boys, but you got to build a resume. So they got to win out, and they got to have some things fall into place, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say that Gardner-Webb's standout could be their defense, though, because when you look at that Tennessee Tech game, they held off Tennessee Tech for 3 quarters, and that's a strong offense to do that to. So that's definitely impressive. And then just in general with their games, they're good at bringing the pressure, pressuring the quarterback, and I think their defense is strong enough to compete. The offense, it has its ups and downs, but the defense is really strong.
Yeah, they got 11 votes right now, which would be good for 29th in the AFCA poll, tied right now with Dartmouth and Sacramento State, which, again, that would make them probably the 6th team out right now. It's looking like Lafayette, Western Carolina, who Gardner-Webb played, and Alabama State would be the first 3 out if you're going based just off the rankings. Obviously, the rankings don't decide it. You still have the conference champions, but if you were to purely go off the poll right now, Gardner-Webb would still have to climb about 6 spots in order to make the playoffs. And it will start with their game today, taking on Tennessee State. And again, we hate to, constantly say this is practically a gimme for anyone playing Tennessee State. Obviously, Tennessee State, they're not awful, but they're in a really tough spot right now with a brand new head coach. It's essentially a rebuilding year for them. Still trying to find their stride in the Ohio Valley right now. And Gardner-Webb, who has just been really good these past couple games, it's going to be a tough test for the Tigers here.
Yeah, and I have to be put in the tough spot again. I got to give them their keys to victory. You see it there. Try something different. You can't keep doing what you're doing because it's just not working. I mean, realistically, they know they're a bad football team. You can't go into the game thinking that, but they can't really block. They can't really run the football. They can't protect their quarterback, and you're going up against a team that just had 11 sacks. So how are you going to attack them this week? Well, for me, if I'm Tennessee State, I'm just going to spread out the offense, and we're just going to go quick throws. First or second read, we're getting rid of the football. We need to make sure that we're not getting into these 3rd and 17s where they've been so often this year, where it's 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20 because they're taking big sacks. Just get rid of the football, and if you do this with the spread offense, you make Gardner-Webb respect it, maybe your quarterback can take off, and you can get a few extra yards with your quarterback running where they haven't had it this year. But I just don't really see it. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Tennessee State, but Gardner-Webb really needs this football game, and they need to win big, so I am a little bit scared for them coming in.
And Gardner-Webb's their defense. I mean, like you just said, TSU struggles on their offensive side, so Gardner-Webb really just needs to continue to bring the pressure and just have the good defensive work that they've been putting in, and then basically just back TSU into the corner like they can do with the defensive pressure that they bring.
Well, it should be an interesting one for Gardner-Webb in Nashville, trying to keep their hopes alive in Music City. As we take a look right now at a couple of different trends to this point of the season, it has been all over the place from the ups and downs, and right now it's Western Illinois going from hitting the bottom to coming back up at the current moment, to SEMO coming up and then peaking and shooting right back down for an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I mean, you see those trends. If this was the stock market, here's my advice. You invest in Western Illinois because they're on the rise.
And
you
sell it
hold.
very quickly. No.
Maybe, but I'm high on them right now. With SEMO, I think they're going to be back. I mean, you look back since 2018, SEMO, they've won 3 conference championships. They've made the playoffs 4 times. Western Illinois haven't won a conference championship since 2002 in a defunct conference that no longer exists. and they haven't made the playoffs since 2017. But they left the Missouri Valley. There's so many good teams in the Missouri Valley. It's like you're playing a contender each week.
Go Bison.
In the OVC, go Bison. I'm with you on that.
Oh, yeah,
I have a
100%.
soft spot for them too. But you look at the OVC, you know, they're not playing a top 10 team in the country every week. They're playing against teams that are closer to what they are, and you're seeing that they're building confidence, they're getting players in that are young and talented, and their coach has them playing motivating football. Like, the old Western would have given up against Lindenwood. They just kept coming. They never gave up, which is a big sign that they are heading in the right direction.
And also for Western Illinois, it's really just, I don't think that they've been very behind in their games. Like they compete and they're close one-score games usually, but they just don't come through in that last seconds of the game. But in these past 2 games, they have been able to come through and finish it out. And I think if they can just keep doing that, maybe pull away early, but if they can still make it happen in the 4th quarter, then they have a chance.
Well, we look at the matchup now. SEMO going up to Macomb to take on Western Illinois. And again, I think it will be another fun one, pretty similar, I think, to last week with Lindenwood and Western Illinois. What a fight I think these 2 teams will have. Now, the real question is, I would say, is who does SEMO start in this game against Western Illinois? Because the trends from Leatherwood have not been good since he has come back.
Well, it's kind of hard when you're on your butt half the game.
That is true.
You see the throws he's making. He's a very capable quarterback. He's
100%.
very accurate. It's just last week, he's on his butt. He's running. He's also running on a bum leg. So for this game for them, they gotta block better. And I know they have injuries, and I know they've struggled all year with it, but they have to be better with it because Western Illinois, they struggle on both sides when it comes to defending the pass versus defending the run. They're not really great at either. But if you can let them just hem in on one thing the entire game and they can just go after your passing attack, you're one-dimensional. They're just going to sit on that, and they'll probably find a way to score enough points to beat you. So got to get that run game going. Got to make sure that you're still trusting your players and scheming around some of the guys that maybe aren't ready to play at this level yet.
And back to your point about who do you start, I think that's been the problem for SEMO, and it continues to be just they keep switching up their quarterback. They had the injuries, and then they were left with Johnny Weber, but then he was doing good. And you take him out of the game, and you put Leatherwood back because he's healthy, but then the offensive wasn't working like it was. And now, you know, you have 2 pretty good quarterbacks, but who do you pick? Johnny Weber did prove himself in those 2 games when Leatherwood was away. Leatherwood has been struggling a little bit to get his offense going, but in this last game, he did have a good one. So it's just a difficult decision. But for Western Illinois, they really just got to pull away early for this game. They kind of wait to the last quarter to finish strong. But if they can pull away early, get those defensive plays going early on, they'll definitely be able to win.
Well, we got another big one here coming up. Another team from Illinois, the other side of the state, though, coming down from Charleston, where Eastern Illinois will be taking on Lindenwood here in St. Charles in a battle for 2 teams that it seems like the end is kind of reached. It's nigh. It's in the viewpoint. You know, Lions are hunkering down, getting ready for hibernation. So are the Panthers right now, and I think this game is going to be the epitome of just trying to end out on a really high note and trying to really prove yourself going into next year. Because if you're a team right now in the position that these 2 teams are, not a bad season, but certainly far from what you wanted, you just want to end it so on a really good note so you can look back at the season and know, say, it wasn't bad, still a lot to grow from though.
Well, because you kind of expected them to take that next step this year. Both these programs were in a spot where they were kind of middling last year, but maybe this year they could break through, and they just haven't done it. And for Lindenwood, a big part of that has been they've been losing winnable games because they turn the ball over, or they get too aggressive, or they don't manage their play calling properly in the right areas. You see, the minute they get up in a football game, they don't know what to do with themselves. And you're playing Eastern Illinois. They are one-dimensional. They are going to run the football, and they're going to throw it short. They're not going to score a bunch of points, at least in theory. We know Lindenwood's run defense has struggled a bit this year. So keep it simple, stupid. One of my favorite sayings from my dad. You just got to do the bare minimum to stay ahead of the sticks, don't turn it over, and get your special teams right in this one because it's burned them all season long.
For Eastern Illinois, they really just have to score in the end zone. I don't think they have a bad offense, but they get down the field and they don't score. And that's the biggest part of why you did all the plays to get to the red zone. So just focusing on that and actually putting points on the board will keep them in this one.
Yeah, I mean, the difficulties in the red zone is what will kill any team. And it's more, I think, demoralizing as a team where you can work all your way down to the red zone and still unable to finish, other than teams that barely even get past midfield and are forced to punt all the time. Because, I mean, it's the kind of the thing of you're so close to the end goal and you're still not achieving it. And I don't think that's helping the Panthers at all, especially on a moral and mental side of the game. Yeah, I certainly can feel for them.
They got there last year versus Lindenwood, and they missed a 30-yarder to lose the game. Special teams. I know we highlighted it this week. We had a special team player of the week. Check your special teams, and also pay more attention to your team special teams, because it can win or lose your games.
100%. And speaking of losing and needing to win right now, UT Martin with a very needed win here today. Charleston Southern looking to spoil UT Martin's title hopes on the road in our game of the week here this week. It's going to be a very exciting game against two teams, especially Charleston Southern, who all of a sudden just exploded into a brand new team in the middle of the season. UT Martin has just been sticking with it after a really rough non-conference schedule and has only lost the one game to Lindenwood, which was, at this point, you wonder how, based off of how they've been playing these past few weeks. And so they're 5-1 right now. Charleston Southern 3-3 in conference play. And Charleston Southern might not be in it, but man, everyone loves a good spoiler. Again, UT Martin, they need a win. Tennessee Tech can win the conference here without playing a conference opponent. If UT Martin loses, Tennessee Tech outright champions.
Yep. I mean, Charleston Southern, they look like a new team, like you said. You got to break their spirit. You can't keep letting them do what they've been doing, and the way you do it is long drives and punishing teams on the ground, because this year, UT Martin, they actually have more rushing yards than they do passing yards. They're the only team in the conference doing that, and they have the most time of possession of any team in the FCS this year. They hang on to the football. They slowly chip you down. And you can see in the video here, this is an 8-minute touchdown drive. You can't just have your defense on the field for 8 minutes. Like, it just doesn't work. They're going to get tired. They're going to wear you down. And yeah, they're not explosive. They don't have many huge plays, but they stay ahead of the sticks. And when you're playing against Charleston Southern, a team that has loved to throw the ball recently, if you can just keep them off the field and make them get desperate early, that is going to bear really well for your football team. I mean, I think that is exactly how they need to approach this. And if you do get up, don't let off the gas. Remember, you're trying to get into the playoffs. If you lose to Tennessee Tech, there's still a chance where you might be able to squeak in. Need some blowouts. This would be a nice week for that.
And for Charleston Southern, they have to pass the ball. That's what they've been doing well in these last few games. They have 5 different guys that they can throw to, and Osborne has been playing well. So really just using the receivers that you have and making those big plays and just capitalizing on what you've been doing well.
Yeah, it's going to be need to be a big game. It's going to be really tough too, because UT Martin, based off of how it's looking right now, they're going to have to win out, and they need to beat Tennessee Tech, get a chance at that championship. Otherwise, they're probably not making the playoffs. Just kind of the unfortunate reality right now is that Tennessee Tech continues to win. Gardner-Webb drops one more. Doesn't really matter what happens to UT Martin. Taking a look at the conference standings now, we'll talk about it in a little bit here. What's setting us up here for this weekend, for today? Tennessee Tech, obviously, as you can see, still 7-0 conference play, 10-0 overall against Kentucky later on, trying to make it 11-0 and possibly a big upset. Only been a handful, but some big upsets for FCS over FBS this season. UT Martin right behind them. All 5 wins, man, they have been huge. In conference play, after going 0-4 in the non-con, they have exploded and won the games that really matter. Gardner-Webb right behind him, really needing to get some big wins. Charleston Southern, Lindenwood, SEMO, West Illinois, East Illinois, Tennessee State, all kind of most likely out of the race here, but still a lot to play for right now when it comes to just end of the season, the pride, and how to set yourself up for next year as well right now.
Yeah, it's also jobs. I mean, you got to think, if you're a coordinator for one of these teams, you're playing to keep your job and continue on with these programs. This is the FCS level. This is a stepping stone. You want to eventually, for most of these guys, move up in their career. these last few games of the year, maybe the players are kind of out of it, but they know that, hey, we need our guys to perform. We need them to go out there and play some good football because, you know, I might want to move up next year. I might want to go to another school. And if you end up having the worst defense or worst offense in the league, that doesn't look good on a resume.
Well, give us a chance before we get to our final segment. A little prediction here for what could be the scenarios for the OVC Big South. The case right now of what could be the complete ender, the finale that would happen this Saturday, the chance it would be over would be if UT Martin loses Charleston Southern. It's the only case scenario where it would be decided. Tennessee Tech outright champs, doesn't matter. They would be outright champs tomorrow, or today, correction, if they don't have to worry about winning or losing. It's Kentucky. All you need is UT Martin to lose. Gardner-Webb, it's really just up to speculation at this point whether they make it or not. They're going to need some big games these last 2 seasons. It's going to be really, really tough because not only do they have to still win, but they need to get approval from the committee in order to get an at-large, which is going to be very, very difficult.
Well, they're getting it some in the coaches poll. You know, you're getting some recognition there, but the other ones, the stats perform, the playoff polls, there's really no sight of Gardner-Webb anywhere, and you just can't have a loss where you get destroyed in your season to one of your foes in your conference. I mean, UT Martin didn't play a great game against them earlier this year. But when you turn the ball over 4 times with the backup quarterback, it's going to look awful on your resume. But, you know, if you're the committee, do you look at that and say, well, it was a backup, you know, it was his first start with a new offense? Do you give him a bit of grace, or do you even think they look that far into it? Because I don't know if they're going to.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you really break it down, maybe Gardner-Webb is a team that could get the votes, but are they really looking that deep into all the different factors that goes into this team? And like you said, probably not. So that might mess up Gardner-Webb's chances, but you never know.
They've got to win out here. You know, you think they got to put points up on the board. They got to, like, catch the eyes of the voter. You got to put a 50-burger up on one of these teams. Just destroy them. I mean, that's what you have to do. You realize your resume's not where it needs to be. Don't just win outright. You got to keep putting points on the board. And the last few games for them have been really close football games where no one's really looking at it and saying, wow, that was impressive. Needs something here that's going to stand out this week.
One more question for you guys. So Tennessee Tech playing Kentucky here. A loss to the Wildcats, do you think that affects them any way, shape, or form in the eyes of the committee?
They got to put points on the board. I mean, they need to score. If they end up getting shut out or they score less than 10 points in this football game, that looks bad. I get it's an SEC team. I get they just beat Florida, but they're a very talented team, and they haven't played against a really big opponent so far this year. I mean, we've talked about it. The resume's not that impressive. You beat a lot of low-level teams to start the year. You're playing against a big team. Impress me. Show the committee that you're actually a really competitive team and that you are capable of keeping up, at least for a little bit. Because I don't think they're going to win this football game, but if you can keep it close at half or keep it close late and it maybe just pull away because they're the better team, that would look really good. But if you get blown out, it's just not the best look. Shouldn't hurt the ranking too much, but it's not going to bode well for them when they are thinking about getting that bye, potentially.
And it'll look good, but at the same time, that's not their conference. So I think when you're looking at how are they in the conference that they're competing in, that's really what matters. But it would be really cool if they could actually pull off a good game against Kentucky. But it is an SEC school, so I don't know if they're really looking at it that deeply necessarily.
I think if they're able to pull off an upset, I'm not sure if they'll jump them over Lehigh, but for sure they will. I think they'll jump to the 5 spot over Tarleton State because Tarleton State does have that loss to Abilene Christian earlier on today, and obviously Tennessee Tech still undefeated. Pick them an FBS upset win. I mean, that's just going to boost you even more. But I think like you said, unless they completely just get destroyed, I don't think it'll affect them much if they end up losing this game.
They're also a really well-coached team.
Yes.
I feel like they could keep it close for a while. They have good players. It's not just the coach or a few guys on their team that are really carrying them. They are a deep team that can win in a lot of different ways. So if you're Kentucky, it's not just going to be a simple show up and win. You actually have to do some game planning. There might be a little bit of a sweating coming into this football game Although, if you're Kentucky, you need to expect to win these games as a program. I know this is OVC Big South Gameday, but you're a lower level team in your conference in the FBS level. You can't be losing to FCS teams.
Just can't. Just can that. Well, time for our favorite segment of the show. Time for Who You Got? Taking a guess at every single conference game here today. So nothing about the Tennessee Tech Kentucky game. If I had to pick it, I'd say I'm going to root for the Golden Eagles here. I think it'd be very cool to see the upset. But we will start with the Running Bulldogs at Tennessee State. Gardner-Webb at TSU. Start with you, James.
Been hard on Tennessee State, and it's hard to be easy on them with how their season has kind of gone this year, but they're dead men walking. I mean, there's just not a lot to look at with this team and say, this is the reason they could pull off the upset. I just don't think they're better than Gardner-Webb at anything. So as much as it sucks to say that I don't think it's even going to be close, I'm taking Gardner-Webb here. Although for Tennessee State's sake and for the sake of their fans, I hope it's a bit of a fight. Show some fight at the end of the season for your new coach and try some different things like I talked about earlier.
That's a good point. But Gardner-Webb, I feel like their defense is just so strong, and TSU they're just not gonna. They're gonna have a very hard time to get going. You want to see them to finally get going somewhere in this as we get to a close in the season. But I don't think it could be this game against Gardner-Webb, so I'm definitely going with the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with you guys, and mainly I love the Gardner-Webb running game. I think Carson Greasock, I think this is going to be another blowout game for him as a player, and I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up 4 or 5 touchdowns in this game. I wouldn't be surprised at all. So take the Running Bulldogs here as well. Game number 2 we have in our slate. Western Illinois taking on SEMO in Macomb, 2 3-7s. It's been a weird one for SEMO. They were up to number 6 in the polls last year before losing to Lindenwood, and now they are 4 games under 500 in the worst predicament they could probably be in at this point of the season.
Yeah, they picked the wrong season to not have a mobile quarterback. With all the line injuries they've had, and I think right now this team is kind of just battered, not just mentally, but also physically. Like, you have those injuries, you haven't been winning, it feels like a lost season, where Western feels like they have everything to play for, right? I mean, they're hot, they're on a streak. I know it's 2, we talked about this, 2 is a streak.
2 is a streak.
Could make it 3, and that'd be the first time since 2018 they'd win 3 in a row, and I think they get it done this week. Give me Western Illinois.
Maybe SEMO did find something offensively in that last game, but I feel like Western Illinois has proven a little bit more that they can make it work in the final minutes of the game when it matters most. So I'm taking the Leathernecks.
Well, I tell you what, I thought my pick was going to be a shocker, to say the least. SEMO, I've liked how they've been playing with Johnny Weber. Now, I like Johnny Weber. I like his style of play. Problem is, they've been riding out with Leatherwood, and he is. I mean, obviously, the struggle with the line, but even then, Leatherwood just has not been performing throughout. And obviously, he had to play the tougher teams. But I think, if they put in Johnny Weber, maybe they get a win here. But I'm guessing they're riding out with Leatherwood. And what I thought would be a shocker, I'm going to take the Leathernecks in this one. I fully expected this to be a full SEMO board, but I think we're all thinking they're just not putting it together right now, and West Illinois just has no desire to quit fighting.
So they're screwed. Because we picked them. We all picked them. We all picked an upset. Right. It's not happening. I'm just letting you know this game is not happening. Also, if there was a trade deadline in college football, I feel like Leatherwood would have been a great fit for Gardner-Webb. Got the good O-line, got all those weapons, especially with your starter going down, but unfortunately he's playing with a team that just doesn't really match his style right now. So we're all going with the Leathernecks this week. What a shocker.
Well, time to head on over to St. Charles as we have Lindenwood taking on Eastern Illinois. They are back at home. Panthers, Lions, another Big Cat battle here. Lindenwood in a bit of a rut right now, and so is Eastern Illinois in a little bit of a bigger rut than Lindenwood. James, who you got?
I think this is going to be an interesting football game, not just for what happens on the field, but also in the stands, because Lindenwood is playing men's soccer championship right after this. I think they're going to have some extra fans in the area, some extra teams watching this one, so hopefully some more noise for them. But this is a weird game where, like, what are you playing for? You know, what is your motivating factor coming in? And I just think Lindenwood has a good motor as a whole. Like, this year they've been more mentally tough than they've been in years past. I think they bounce back this week, and especially because Eastern's so one-dimensional, they should, and I say should, they've let us down in the past, they should be able to shut them down and at least put enough points up there to get the job done. So give me the Lions.
Yeah, but Lindenwood, they just don't play consistently for 4 quarters. Their defense could open up, they could miss some tackles, and I think Eastern Illinois is going to score off of those missed opportunities. So I'm going with the Panthers.
Wow. Okay. I think in this matchup, I mean, Lindenwood edge rush is going to be a factor in this. Obviously, we've talked about the run defense being a struggle, but I like Strickland. I like Passmore. They rush the ball, and I think eventually it will get to a point where they're just going to force him to throw the ball a little bit more, and LaCrue has been struggling at throwing the ball. Simple as that. And short plays we've seen do not work well when you're playing at Lindenwood. You have to have explosive plays against this defense. Otherwise, you're going to have some really long, grueling drives if you're not getting at least one 15-yard rush and or pass in a drive. So I just don't think they're going to have that. I think Lindenwood, they had a little bit more of a mentality, and I think the mental side of the game a little bit stronger for the Lions. So I'm going to take Lindenwood again. I know I'm pretty sure I pick Lindenwood every single time.
I
but.
like that you mentioned that, though, because you remember the UT Martin game? We're like, how did they lose to Lindenwood? It's kind of similar. They're not explosive. They don't have those explosive plays. So I think this bodes well for Lindenwood coming in.
All right, time for our game of the week. A real fun one in Martin, Tennessee. Charleston Southern playing the spoiler. UT Martin trying to keep the title hopes alive. It's going to be a real fun one between the Buccaneers and the Skyhawks. James, who you got?
Now, we know UT Martin needs this one. I mean, we've talked about it all show. They have to win or else the season's over. And, you know, you have Charleston Southern on the other side where they've turned their program around, that everyone's playing hard. You have a hot quarterback, and they're pulling off upset wins, which would be the case here if they can win this game. But the last time UT Martin lost a game in the conference, they played against a hot QB that loved to throw deep, and they had great linebacker play. We just talked about it. That was against Lindenwood. I feel like Charleston Southern is set up very similar to how Lindenwood was playing earlier this year, where they love their deep balls, they're relying on the pass heavily. Maybe the run's not there yet, but everyone's executing, and defensively they got some big playmakers. So I'm going with Charleston Southern in this one. They're going to end UT Martin's season.
Wow.
Give me the Buccaneers.
I talked about for Charleston Southern, their key was to throw the ball. The issue with that is UT Martin, they have competitors in the backfield that are going to contest those passes. They have 7 different players with 7 interceptions. They interrupt passes. They're going to put pressure on Osborne. They're just going to be strong defensively, and I think that's going to give Charleston some trouble in the pass game that they've been doing well at. So I'm going with UT Martin.
I think it's going to be a really tough game for both sides, to say the least. Chase Bauer's just been incredible. I mean, he messed up his ankle, and he was still able to rush for a touchdown in a game earlier this season. He's been backing his team. They got some really explosive weapons. Their defense is looking strong. But Charleston Southern not really playing for much right now. And there's always a difference, I feel like, a team playing for everything and a team playing for nothing. In Charleston Southern, they're on the up. They're playing to just wrap up a season, one of the better seasons they've had in recent years. So I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it might come down to the last possession for all I know. But like I've stated before, I'm a sucker for spoilers. So alas, I will be boarding ye pirate ship and taking ye Buccaneers to ruin UT Martin's chances. Have a fun college football Saturday, mateys. Yarr!
Dude, they're led by Brownbeard, the quarterback. I mean, I've been wanting to give him a nickname all year long. He looks like a pirate. He leads the Buccaneers. He is fearless. He's Brownbeard. Give me Zoltan Osborne. I know we're going with him. We're going with the upset. Carmen, you made the smart pick. They're probably going to win, but we like our upsets. So
We always love it. James Zuckmeyer, Carmen Lumpkins. I'm Jacob Stonick, not James Zuckmeyer. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy your college football Saturday, folks.